With so many form tools out there, how do you pick the right one? That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's dive in. Hi, I'm Kyle, the creator of No Code Collab, a site where we have tips, tricks, and tutorials for your next no-code project. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, and check out our website. So forms are everywhere. They drive the internet. Every time you order food, every time you buy something online, leave a review, post to Facebook, you're filling out a form. So they drive the internet. So how do you choose which form tool to use when you're building your next online form? That's what we're going to dive into. I've got 5 things that I typically am keeping in mind when I'm choosing which tool to use for my next form. So before we dive in, the thing to note is that there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You will probably have a couple form tools that you'll rely on depending on the use case. So you won't just have one tool in your arsenal, you'll probably have a few. Okay, so the first one is a little bit obvious, but the thing I always consider heading into a new project is what form tools are available to me. At the company that I work at, we have probably 5 to 10 different options for form tools. We use Google Forms, Airtable, Formstack, Jotform, Typeform, SurveyMonkey. So there's 6 right there. And that doesn't even include all of the other software that we use to just run the business, HR tools, industry specific tools that we use in the insurance industry, etc. So you could probably start by just writing down what are the different tools at your disposal. Now, if you're starting from scratch, you don't really have to consider this. The world is your oyster. So now that I have my list of available tools, I'm going to start to filter that down based on different criteria. The first of which is, where do I want the data to ultimately end up? If it's in an Airtable base, I'm probably going to have an Airtable form be on my shortlist. If I'm trying to create a document in Formstack documents, I'm probably going to consider using Formstack forms. Maybe I have an HR tool and I want to survey some employees. And so I would like that data to end up in the HR tool. I would look to that tool to see if there's something native that I could use there. And the intention here is that I'm hoping to cut down on the number of steps I need to build between my form and the ultimate destination of the data, because that can streamline some of the work. My next criteria is, what is the significance of this form? An internal survey that I'm sending to some employees is very different than an external survey that I'm sending to prospective clients. One has maybe a few questions that doesn't require much branding, and the audience, I'm not necessarily trying to impress all that much, whereas the other might be collecting a lot more information. I might want it to be branded quite a bit, and I'm really trying to impress them. So on the one hand, with the internal survey, maybe I could send out a Google form or an Airtable form, and I don't really need anything that's too fancy. In the other situation, I'd probably want to use a dedicated form tool, because then I can customize it and make it just how I want. So that would be a tool like Formstack, Typeform, Jotform, something that allows me to really customize and brand my form for that audience. In short, if it's a form that isn't too significant, I'm likely looking for something that I can make really quickly, doesn't need too much customization, versus if it is a significant form, I probably want to brand it and customize it and make it something that feels a little bit more special. The next thing I'm thinking about is complexity. Tools like Google Forms and Airtable Forms, they're not really built to have logic and conditional visibility or calculations based on what's been inputted into the form. They're there to really collect information and put it into the base or the sheet. On the other hand, you have dedicated form tools like Formstack forms, Typeform, Jotform. There's a lot of them, but they're built with complexity in mind. So they allow you to build in logic, multiple pages, calculations based on the form data, conditional visibility. So these are all things that they allow you to do in their tool. So if you have a complex form, I'd lean towards a dedicated form tool. When it comes to the dedicated tools and which one to use then, now my mind is going to how long is my form? So if I have a lot of questions, I'm probably leaning towards Formstack Forms or Jotform or another tool that allows me to have multiple questions on one page. Typeform, they serve up one question at a time. And that's great for user experience. People like filling out one question at a time. It seems very easy. So if I have a client that I'm trying to impress, if I have a short form and I really care about the experience filling out the form, then I'm leaning towards Typeform. However, once you get above, say, 20, 25 questions, it just kind of gets tiring filling out a Typeform. One thing to note, Formstack Forms does have a one question at a time mode. I just find that if I'm going to do that, I actually like the user experience of Typeform better than Formstack Forms when it comes to that one question at a time. The last two things I think about are there any unique question types? So maybe I need to have a rating scale 1 to 10 and I want people to click on stars. Maybe I have a question where I want people to select from images. Those are two examples where I would probably look at Typeform. Google Forms also allows you to pick from images as well. But depending on your unique question type, that could steer you towards a certain form tool. Now, the one thing to note is that Jotform has all these widgets. And so Jotform has a ton of different options when it comes to different question types. So if you have something unique, you have a child form where people can have N number of responses for one question. I would look at Jotform because they have got a wide range of question widgets. And the last thing I'm thinking about is, what do I like using? I don't want to go and learn a new form tool every time there's a new form that needs to be built. So if you've got something that's working and ticks those boxes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if it's available to you, if it puts your data in the right spot, if it meets the significance of the situation, if it allows you to do the complex things that you want to do, it's got the right question types, there's no need for you to go and learn a new form tool. Use the one that you have access to. So now what I've done is I've created my list of available tools and I've filtered down based on the destination of the data, the significance of the form, the complexity of the form, the unique questions of the form. I might end up using my HR tool. I might using the MailChimp form just because I want to collect email addresses for my mailing list. It all depends on your specific use case. Hopefully that's helped you filter down so that you can make the best decision for your next form. We'll see you at the next tutorial. Thanks.